Hello everybody and welcome back to another Shakuhachi video. Today we're going to do one of the infamous comparison videos from cheap Shakuhachi to expensive Shakuhachi. So we're going to start out with a $20 flute, which is just basically PVC. We're going to start out with a 3D printed flute, which is made from basically PET bottles, so all the plastic bottles. Then we're going to move to a bamboo model, which is a beginner flute, and this is about $700. Then we're going to move to a semi-pro level flute, about $1,500. Then we're going to move to a pro flute, which is $3,000. And then we're going to move to my personal used Shakuhachi that I use, which is, I'm not going to tell you. So here we go. Here's the first one. Basically with this, we're just going to listen for general sound. I'll play a row, and then I'll do the basically the pentatonic scale up and then down, and then just a short excerpt of a piece. So, all right, it can make the notes. It can do the sounds. I'm not able to push on it at all. So, once I even heard it in the row, it's gonna break. It can only be made so well and only resonate so much. But for $20, it's a great option. I wouldn't be sad at all if someone said, this is what I'm starting with. I'm just making a couple notes right now. But you can't really use it for very long, but definitely right for the beginner, not bad. But it's pretty much a 1 month flute, I would say. Okay, let's move on to the next upgraded model. So this is actually 3D printed. Well, we can already hear a sound difference. I can already get a little bit more sound as well. Well, I already played a little bit longer than that previous piece because I like the sound a lot more. Here's the other one. So already the sound is a lot better. It's much warmer, and actually, frankly, this one's a lot easier to play. It's still limited in its dynamic range, but this is much better for a person to start out with, especially because it's so much easier to start. It's so much easier to play. I can see someone definitely lasting a lot longer on something like this, somewhere between 3 to 6 months. Okay. Let's go on to the beginner flute at $700. We can obviously see now that we're into the realm of bamboo, I have a lot more dynamicism. And this is only a size 6, so it's quite a thin flute. Already the higher range speaks a lot more clearly. There's a lot more of that neido, a lot more tone color to the sound. Right, and so I have a lot more power. I have a lot more flexibility. It's a lot. I would say it's about the same level, like playability wise, as the previous flute. I just have more access to more dynamics and a wider range of tone colors as well in the flute. Yeah, so I can even get a little bit more of those kind of bamboo eccentricities that we love so much in the shakuhachi. So here for this flute, I could see someone lasting years on this flute, 2 or 3 years before they might want to upgrade. If they're really a quick learner, maybe a year. Okay, let's move up to the semi-pro. Now this one is also a cap size 6, so it's going to be interesting to see how it's different. First thing first, it's just even with the roll, I like the color of the instrument a lot more. It also is a lot easier to play. Like getting to that big row sound. And then also getting those warmer, darker resonant tones. Okay, first initial reactions is that it's actually even more balanced than the previous flute. So when I'm going from one note to the next note, I don't feel like it's a major shift in approaching the instrument and how to play it. All right, let's try that same song. Yeah, a lot more power, and it's a lot easier to play. And I think there's more of like a depth to the sound. I'm not sure how the microphones are picking it up, but definitely on my end, it feels like the notes just have more depth and resonance to them. I'd also say this one's even easier to play than the beginner flute. So I can see someone really using this for a long time. I could see someone being really happy with this even for 5-6 years before they might want to consider upgrading to maybe a thicker bamboo, a wider bore flute, one that just has a little bit more dynamic range. But honestly, it's a great flute. All right, let's move up to the professional level. Now, this is actually a size 9 cap, so we're jumping up 3 sizes. It definitely has a lot more weight to it. You can kind of even see it in just the thickness of the bamboo that this one is a lot bigger. And wow, I mean, minus that first little slip, it's already a huge roll, a huge sound difference compared to the previous flute. More depth and resonance, boom. It's got more what I would say aji. It's got flavor to the sound. Now this is interesting. It's really balanced, but all of the notes sound differently. Ro really sounds like ro. Su really sounds like su. re like re, and so on and so forth. Let's try our first piece. If I woke up with this flute, I wouldn't be sad. It's a very nice flute. Okay, let's try the other one. Check out the medi sounds. So on this one especially, I find that the MIDI notes were actually very, very easy to play. And so compared with like this one here, so if we take a look at these just kind of side by side, I found that this first one here was still a little bit difficult to play. And that just might be because I'm personally used to bigger flutes. I like cap size 8 to 9. Sometimes 7 for the shorter flutes. This one was better, but this one just has a lot more, like, it almost like takes the breath from you and puts it with the flute. Now, for these first two, they are quite difficult to play in comparison. And what I mean by quite difficult is that I don't have access to the same dynamic range that I would with the 3 flutes that are above. And I also don't get a very big color difference between playing the kari notes and the medi notes. So that idea of yin and yang, or in yo, is not coming through as clearly on these. Definitely usable. They have a decent enough pitch, especially the black one. The black one has very nice pitch, and but definitely can't really use them as a professional and stuff. I think even with the beginner flute, this first beginner flute, I think you can get away with even doing some concerts on it. I think that if you really work at it and kind of find some of the work out some of the kinks with it, you actually can get some pretty good sounds out of it. Okay, now for the last one, get back into this position here. So, there is one caveat to this. I play this flute every single day. I know it extraordinarily well. But, compared with this last one, the warmth of the sound, it doesn't have as much depth. This one has a lot more depth to it. But there are a lot of similarities between the two. Let's hear the scale up. So again, I've been using this flute for the past 6 years, so I know it really well. I can access a lot more of its color and tones. But in general, what I'm hearing just from between the two is I hear a lot more, like, it feels like the previous flute. If you imagine kind of like the ball of sound, right? And you have the outside kind of fleshy bits, and it gets harder as it goes in. The core of this is kind of like diamond. It's just so hard. And with the other flute, it's still hard, but it's not as it's something that's a little bit more penetrable. Maybe like a granite or something like that. Just kind of give my way of thinking. All right, let's try for the other one. Now, what I think is interesting is it's not the bigger notes that really strike me as different. It's the softer notes. So between these last two, I find that on my personal flute, the softer notes are a lot more easily obtainable and much more stable. And so I find myself not getting more dynamic variation in the upper register, but the lower register. So it has more nuance and sensibility. Well, I hope that this video was helpful or at least insightful for you to kind of hear some different levels of Giadi Shakuhachi in order. So if you like this video, hit the like button and then hit the subscribe button and then hit the notification bell, and then you have to hit the all, and then you have to do something else, and then you have to sacrifice something in order so that you get the proper updates. But at any rate, if you do all those things, I'll see you for the next video.